PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
It's Kim versus TC in the battle of the lists.
My list is better.
My list is better.
My list is better.
No, it's not. My list is better.
Kim or TC, who has the better list? From Subject Cinema, this is Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Hi guys, welcome to another week here on Front Row 5 and 10.
What? What's that?
It's the show brought to you by the people that bring you Subject Cinema. That
It
would
is?
be that, yes. And if you keep interrupting me, it's going to be a longer show. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm TC Kirkham, and welcome to the long missing Front Row 5 and 10. We've been gone for a month. I'm so sorry. We've had all kinds. It's been Boston Springs, the festival season up here, and it's been also the fact that Kim was sick a week, and then she was okay for part of another week, and then she got sick again, and it's just like, it's been crazy, and I'm still sick. I've been sick for months, years, eons. It's just me. So this is our little list show, and we do these every Thursday night, and we hope that you'll enjoy the show, and we hope that you'll comment on the show by emailing us at frontrow@PNRNetworks.com, sending us your ideas for new lists, or whatever, and we'd love to hear from you and what we got. This was your list this week.
Yes, it was.
This was supposed to be done the last time we did a show, but because of Mystery Science Theater 3000's premiere, we did a Misty show. So this got bumped, and this should have been done 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. This week we
And
are...
it took me that long to come up with this list. So.
This week is all movie stuff. We are looking at the top 10, in each of our opinions, biggest WTF moments in movies for us. These are moments that made us sit in our chairs or sit at home or wherever we were when we watched the movie.
And cock our heads like a dog.
And go, what the beep? Now, whether or not it was a what the beep, wow, that was exciting, or what the beep, I'm so pissed off right now, or, you know.
I had a little bit of everything on mine, actually.
Yeah. It can be anything from shock to glee to horror to flat out disgust. But it's got to be a powerful emotion. And we should say right up front, although it should be very obvious.
We're going to be giving away a lot of secrets on this. Spoiler alert! Beep, 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 beep.
Big old spoiler alert. Since I came up with the list, you should go first.
Okay. My number 10 is a great film that we both enjoyed, and it has not been seen by enough of people. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Amazon Prime. The movie is called Nuts! ! Documentary about John Brinkley, the world's first radio mogul, and he was this doctor who came up with this cure for impotence by implanting goat testicles. Or so the movie makes you believe. Until the very end of the film, when we got rickrolled so bad, and we said this in our review.
Yeah.
Because at the very end, we realized this guy has been a charlatan the whole time. The movie is deliberately paced, and the director admits this, to try and get you on Brinkley's side.
Yeah.
And then she yanks the rug out from under you. This movie is awesome. I mean, it's an animated documentary. It's funny as hell. And it's like, you're looking at this going like, oh my God. Because all this stuff really did happen. Mm-hmm. And it happened the way that it says it happened in the early part of the film. But then you realize exactly what really happened at the end.
Yeah. The thing about this film is it really does set you up.
Yeah.
And walks you right to the edge of the cliff. And you really do believe that this is a film about, a little guy trying to, beat back against the establishment.
Yep.
And, the big medicine people didn't want his truth to be told and all this stuff like that. And then the film boots you in the butt and you go sailing off that cliff.
Seriously. If
Rick Astley music playing in your ears all the way down.
And in our review, ow. If you've never seen Nuts! ! It is available on Amazon Prime and definitely worth the 90 minutes to watch because it's a lot of fun. Just as an aside, there's another film like this that I didn't put on my top 10, but it was a very close runner-up, and it was a similar film from Orson Welles called F for Fake, which we also love.
Yeah.
It has the same kind of effect at the end of the film. But because it's a little bit more confusing than Nuts with several different parts, I left it off the top 10.
But
it's worth it, too.
And also, F for Fake is a great film. But Orson does warn you.
Oh, yeah, he warned you from the beginning. You still get sucked in.
You still get sucked in.
That's
because
Orson.
It's Orson Welles. That's the way that goes.
So my number 10 is the court revelations in Nuts.
Okay. My number 10 is actually two moments from the same film.
Okay.
It is also the most recent film on my list. It is from 2016. The film from Toho Studios, Shin Godzilla.
I almost put something from that in my top 10. Almost.
Which is yet another reboot.
Bad reboot.
Of the big G.
And even Kim didn't like it, so we know it had to be bad.
Well, they allege this is a reboot of the Big G. If nothing else, it seems like an almost 2.5 hour bitch fest about how Fukushima was handled or not handled.
It's mostly a political satire.
Yeah.
Godzilla really doesn't play into it that much.
Godzilla in this film is mostly an analogy for the Fukushima disaster. F you, I want monsters. Anyway, so the whole point of the film is that at the beginning there is this earthquake that they believe is actually being caused by an actual living creature, not plate shifting in the earth and stuff like that. So this thing lunges up out of the water, this kind of big boogly-eyed.
It looks like a lungfish with no skins.
Mutated lungfish looking thing. And I'm like, oh, neat, this is going to be what Godzilla's fighting, right? Nope.
No.
As the film goes on, the creature mutates and changes, and we realize this boogly-eyed looking thing that looks like what would happen if Barney the dinosaur and a lungfish mated is Godzilla.
We were not happy with
and
that.
I was like, what?
Oh, she was
the
pissed.
Hell. And I didn't use the word hell.
No, she didn't.
The other moment is the end of the film. I won't say what the end is because if I had to suffer through this, damn it, so do you.
I've forgotten what the end was because how thrilled I was by the end of the film.
I'll say what it kind of is a little bit. The end of the film is the idea that they're going to freeze Godzilla.
Oh yeah, okay.
What? I'm sorry. What? And the way the movie ends with this, now, screw it, you can watch it yourselves, but I'm going to give it away anyway. It actually, this plan, lame though it is, actually works. They managed to this sounds wrong, pump enough coagulant or coolant or whatever they're using, liquid nitrogen, I don't know. And I don't like to use the word pumping and Godzilla in the same sentence.
Okay.
It's just wrong.
Family show.
It just, oh man.
Stop.
And it works. They actually freeze him in the middle of downtown Tokyo. And the movie ends.
Where they can thaw him if they need him again.
Well, I'm like, no.
What?
No. Oh, no. Movie, you come back here. Don't you do this to me.
That was such a big disappointment. I mean, it really was.
What the effing bull crap? Damn it. I need a drink.
Truthfully, Fluffy the Giant Iguana was better than this film.
I'm not entirely sure. Well, at least that film has Jean Reno in it.
Yeah, that too.
My number 10, Shin Godzilla.
My number 9 is one of those revelations that really irritates me because it doesn't fit the canon. And it really pissed me off besides. I'm not a strict canon comic fan like our friend Stacy is.
No. I don't think anybody is.
No. Stacy's kind of obsessed with canon. But damn it, when the person that you're going to see in the movie dies at the end of the movie and they're not supposed to be dead, that really pisses me off. My number 9 is Avengers: Age of Ultron. I'm like, are you serious? We get this whole big heroic thing during what was the name of the plague? Sokovia. And we get this whole thing about the twins played by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen, who would later play husband and wife in the Godzilla remake. Ew. And they're off doing their thing, and at the last minute, as planes are shooting down, Ultron is shooting down people in Sokovia before the whole hunk of Earth starts falling. Hawkeye sees this kid who's bound to get hit by these bullets and tries to go over and save him, and Quicksilver intervenes. This is Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, and gets them to safety. And they've been needling each other the whole movie. And he just basically does his whole didn't see that coming and falls and collapses and dies. I'm like, Quicksilver is my favorite Avenger, and you kill him off in the one movie he's in? Ah! Especially when it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I am an enormously huge fan of. I was not happy.
No, you weren't.
Number 9, Avengers: Age of Ultron. What do you mean Quicksilver dies? No.
Okay. My number 9 is a WTF moment where it's not anger, it's shock. My brain is going, are we really seeing this? My number 9 is from the 2010 incredibly, gorgeously filmed and completely insane film by Japanese auteur Takahashi Miike, I should say, I'm sorry. 13 Assassins.
I dropped this off of my list at the last minute for something. This was on my list, too.
13 Assassins is the mind-blowing... If you haven't seen this film, please see it.
It's bit plotting the first hour. It really takes off after it's slow and plotting the first hour, but the rest of it's awesome.
It's establishing background and character. And
it is, but it doesn't help that they showed it at 9:30 at night after we'd already seen 5 other movies that day.
That's true, too. In the mid-1800s, the Lord Matsudaira Naritsugu, who is a member of the royal family, is under the protection of the shogun, who is his half-brother. This guy is a complete psychopath. He is killing his own people for the sheer joy of killing them. And more than a few people feel like he needs to go. So a group of samurai are put together to assassinate him and his troops. It all culminates in a battle in a village that has been walled in to trap the Lord and his men. And there's sword fights and people falling off stuff and roof deaths and railing deaths and everything else. And so far it's like, wow, this is really cool. I mean, it's not like anything you haven't seen before, because it's sword fighting and stuff like that, but it's still awesome. And those are cows running down the center of the town, and the cows are on fire? Part of the assassin's plan to cause, as much chaos as possible was to take some of the villagers' cows and strap bales of hay to their sides and then set the bales of hay on fire. And naturally, the cow panics because, holy crap, I'm on fire, and runs down the street. So now we've got stampeding, flaming cows. And I'm just sitting there, and
it's an awesome scene. It's filmed so beautifully.
I'm like, I don't know whether to... I was like...
She was freaking out, and her jaw was on the floor, and she was laughing all at the same time.
Well, you don't know what else to do. I mean, I'm like, this is a PETA nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
no
the
cows were harmed in the making of this movie. Did not appear at the
No, that
film.
did not. They don't have that in Japan. But I'm sure they were okay. I hope.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, what the... After the scene was over, I was like, I think for like 5 minutes after the scene was done, nothing on screen registered with me because my brain's still going, we just saw a bunch
flaming
of stampeding
cows.
My brain's going, we just saw a bunch of stampeding, flaming
Steaks.
cows.
Yum.
So my number 9, what WTF moment, the stampeding cows from 2010's 13 Assassins. Holy crap!
I'm serious. I had that. That was on my top 10 until today. I dropped it off for a couple other things. I was like, oh, that was funny. My number 8 is a movie that this one actually might be on yours. I don't know, but I know it really freaked you out the first time you saw it.
All right.
If you're a big kid at heart, or even if you're a little kid, one of your favorite films is probably 1984's The Never-Ending Story.
Okay.
And at the very...
That isn't on my list,
It isn't on your list.
No.
Near the end of the film, the Nothing destroys practically everything in Fantasia.
Now, you have to... The Nothing is the antagonist of the
Right.
film.
It's the shapeless, figureless... It's apathy, is what it is.
It's because people have stopped believing.
Stopped having an imagination. At the end of this, everything fades to black, and then suddenly Bastian, the boy who's reading the book, appears next to the childlike empress, who is the ruler of Fantasia, and they're sitting next to each other, looking at a single grain of sand that still is the only thing left of Fantasia. And she tries to get him to give her a name, because that's how he would save everything. And she says, all you have to do is this. Well, how can I make a difference? Well, just as you've been reading the book and watching our adventures, others are watching yours. As in watching the movie. Kim completely freaked out the first time I showed her. She didn't see this film until the 90s.
No, I didn't. I hadn't seen it
I
in
have
the theater.
loved The Never-Ending Story since it came out in 84. I've seen it like 30 times. I love it.
When that scene happened, I was like, wait, what?
And I was like, whoa.
I'm like, this is not the movie to go see when you're tripping balls. That's a bad idea.
Because he had given her the name as he screamed it as the Nothing destroyed everything, and that's how he ended up over there. It was definitely a surreal moment, and then it's, of course, a few moments later, Bastian is the one flying on Falcor as he passes over Atreyu and a now alive Artax again. And a few other things.
Oh, that scene.
If you've never seen The Never-Ending Story, pull yourself out from under the rock you're in.
Yeah.
Please, and see it.
And just
and skip the sequel.
Yeah, there's just a tip from Kim and TC. Skip the sequel.
The second one isn't bad because it's got two good leads in Jonathan Brandis and Kenny Morrison, but it's like it's not anywhere near as good as the original with Barrett Oliver and Noah Hathaway.
No, I do kind of like the second one a little bit more because the dad is played by John Wesley Shipp and he's less of a dick
the TV
than Gerald
series,
McCraney.
The TV series from Canada from the 90s, which starred Mark Rendell, was actually not bad either.
Okay.
But the original movie is great, and that moment is like, if you've never seen it, you don't expect it. It's like, wow. Mm-hmm. Number 8, The Never-Ending Story.
My number 8 is the first foray into superhero films. I know some of you are probably surprised it took me that long.
Da, 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 da.
My number 8, 2005's Batman Begins. Because this was a moment that I was like, wait, this just completely changed the movie. The whole thing of the film at the beginning of the film is Bruce Wayne is traveling the world trying to learn as much as he can so he can come back to Gotham and defend it. And one of the places he winds up is as a member of this group called the League of Shadows that are led by this mysterious man named Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul, actually.
Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul. He doesn't really say much, but he's considered the head of this organization. And stuff goes wrong, and the building that the League is in burns down, and things happen. Later on in the film, we're reintroduced to a character named Henri Ducard, who was the man who introduced Bruce to the League of Shadows. And now he's come back into Bruce's life with other members of the League who are determined to destroy Gotham. And oh, by the way, he's the real Ra's al Ghul. What? I was like, wait a minute, what the? But who got? Damn it, movie, you totally got me. I was like, what the actual beep? I don't believe I got taken by that. Wow. I think it totally changes the tone of the film, and it completely changes the dynamic between Bruce and who he thought was Henri Ducard and who is really Ra's al Ghul. So my number 8, wait, he's Ra's al Ghul? From 2005's Batman Begins.
Yeah, Liam Neeson was interesting casting.
Oh, yeah.
There too.
Yeah.
My number 7 is one of my favorite movies of the most recent decade, and we're going back to the 2010 IFFB where Kim visited with 13 Assassins a minute ago. The movie is Troll Hunter, which is a dynamite found footage film from Norway. If you've never seen it, you need to.
You do.
It's about this group of college kids who are playing investigative reporter, and they've spotted somebody that they think is a bear poacher. Because apparently, there's all these bears being found dead around here, and they think this guy's doing it. Well, it turns out, when they're following him one night, trying to get a comment and then trying to catch him in the act, he's not a bear poacher. He's protecting Norway from the troll population.
Yeah.
And one of the guys in the group, the leader of the student group, Thomas, gets bit by the troll that they're out there in trying to stay away from. Mm-hmm. You don't really think about it. They patch it up, and he says, "Come along with me, and I'll show you." Because he's fed up with the government. He wants to show the truth about this troll thing. Near the end of the film, Thomas is getting sicker and sicker, and we don't really find out why. He's just always complaining about headaches and stuff. At the very end of the film, they've reached the point where they have come across the paths of a Jotnar. Is that the name of
Jotnar,
it? Yeah. A 200-foot tall troll. Before they can go out in there, they get the medical results back from when Thomas was bit. Thomas has signs of rabies. And suddenly they have an exact reason why all the trolls are suddenly going kind of nuts when they've never been, that big of a problem.
Yeah.
Lately, they've been a huge problem.
They've been coming into populated areas.
Yeah, which they normally didn't do.
Yeah, whereas before they would just, anybody who ran into them would have been somebody out hiking in the woods and stuff like that. Now they're coming down from the mountains and stuff like that, and now we know why.
Yep. This revelation, the whole audience was like gasping. We saw with a sold-out crowd at the Brattle.
So we've not only got trolls, we've got trolls with rabies.
This movie is brilliant. I still cannot believe they did this. This thing is as good as any science fiction or fantasy film that Hollywood puts out that costs $200 million in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Norway did it for $6 million. And it's brilliant. And if you've never seen it, you need to. And that revelation is just like, holy crap, are you kidding? That's what's doing it.
Yeah.
Thomas finds out he has rabies at the end of Troll Hunter, my number 7.
Okay. Number 7.
It is, by the way, in Norwegian. You will need subtitles.
Subtitles. You can deal with it.
I think there is a dubbed version, but I don't. And Chris Columbus, please don't make a remake.
Stick with the subtitles, and
don't do an American version, please. Anyway,
number 7 for me was one of these. It was a WTF moment out of sheer aggravation. It was like, what? Oh. Number 7 for me is the 1974 noir classic Chinatown. I
didn't even think of that. That's a good one. I didn't even think of that one.
I'm not even going to bother to try and explain the plot of Chinatown because we don't have that kind of time.
It's a great movie, though.
It is a great movie. But basically, it culminates at the end of the film with the woman that we've been following through the whole film, Evelyn Cross Mulray, winds up being shot dead by the police. Her daughter, who was also her half-sister because she was raped by her father when she was 15. Nice.
Ew.
Her father comes and claims custody of Catherine, leads her away, and we're going, the whole thing is going to happen again. You know it is.
Yeah.
You just get this sinking feeling. And Jake Gittes, the character played by Jack Nicholson, is just completely like, what the hell just happened? And he knows that Noah Cross, played wonderfully by John Huston.
Never seen him play such a sleazeball before. He was totally really good at it.
A moral monster of a character.
Ugh,
he realizes this guy is going to get away with all of the terrible things he's done because he's rich and powerful. And one of Gittes' associates, a man named Lawrence Walsh, kind of stops him from going after him and says, forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. And the camera starts panning back over all the people, seeing all the crazy stuff that happened. Yeah. And the film is over. And I'm like, mother... I was like...
Because we neither one seen it all the way through until we watched it about, 6-7 years ago?
Yeah.
For the show. And it's like, wow.
I was like, what do you mean that's the end of the blankety blank? Oh, no. Movie, you come back here.
That's not where I thought you were going. I thought you were going to go through the whole, she's my mother and my sister.
No, that's
I'm her mother and her sister.
She's my daughter. Slap. She's my sister. Slap. She's my daughter and my sister.
Ew.
Yeah, that's more of an ew moment than a WTF moment. I mean, I could make a couple of jokes about certain southern states, but I won't. Mm-hmm. But seriously, I was like, every curse word I could think of came flying out of my mouth faster than Barry Allen on a sugar buzz. I mean, it was...
Oh, I'd hate to see that.
I
don't care if it's Grant or Ezra playing it.
Completely furious at the end of that movie. Oh my gosh, my number 7. I mean, it's a great movie.
It is.
But
it's a wonderful film.
Damn it, after that movie, I was like, I want to eat an entire box of cookies right now. My number 7, Chinatown from 1974.
My number 6 is a rarity. Okay. Most of the time when you get a WTF moment, it's at the center of the film that is designed to change the direction or shock you, or it's at the very end. Mm-hmm. This one happens at the very beginning of the film.
Okay.
You were completely off-put by it, and I was like, oh my God. In the opening pan shot of Disney Pixar's WALL-E from 2008, you get this majestic picture of all these skyscrapers. And in some utopia, you think.
Yeah.
And the
or bustling metropolis or whatever.
And the camera comes closer and closer in as the opening credits roll. And you start to notice things. And you realize, A, there's no people anywhere. And B, all of the buildings are made of compacted bundles of trash. These monster skyscrapers are made of gigantic boxes of trash. And you're like, oh my God, what did we do to this planet?
Yeah, it almost makes you wish for the end of Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston in the whole, you Max? All that.
That's okay. We don't need a Chuck Heston imitation.
My voice.
You were sitting there going.
Isn't that deep?
She was like, "Oh, I never." You said yourself, almost the first 10 minutes of Wall-E makes you want to slit your wrist.
It does. I'm like, I've never had an animated film make me want to kill myself before.
And I'm
this
like,
is different.
It ended up being my best animated film, and I adore that film. But the opening is so. The first time you expect it after that. Mm-hmm. The first time you see it, it's like, holy cow!
It's like, what the F have we done? Yeah. Oh, that's a great choice.
It is my favorite Pixar movie of all time. Although Inside Out is really close second, and I just like. It's an amazing jaw dropper, and then of course it gets happier and happier as the movie goes on. Number 6, the opening of Wall-E.
Okay. My number 6, I've mentioned this over and over and over again. It is one of those moments where, seriously, I was just sitting there going, what the... No.
Uh-oh.
Nope. Uh-uh. I am not buying this movie. Nope, you're not. No. This is just ridiculous. And I realize it's a movie. Movies are supposed to involve suspension of disbelief.
I think I know what this is. I'm not sure, though.
Unless it's a documentary, a movie involves suspension of disbelief. Fine. I get that. However, when someone who knows absolutely diddly flippity squat about meteorology...
I was right. I didn't even think of this one either.
Sits there and goes, what the F was that? You have a problem with your movie. My number 6 from 1996, Twister. Now...
I commented on this on Catastrophe Vortex a couple weeks ago, so I won't need to go into it here. But yeah, go right ahead.
Good grief.
It is ridiculous. Talk about completely movie physics.
Never mind the fact that I had a hysterical crying episode earlier on in the movie because the cow got killed.
Cow? I don't know that the cows got killed. They never said they got killed.
It's probably a pretty good idea.
Not necessarily.
Well, I got upset. Animals in peril make him cry.
I know.
Deal. Towards the end of the film, almost directly at the end of the film, Bill Harding, played by the late Bill Paxton,
Woohoo!
And Dr. Joe Harding, played by Helen Hunt,
Woohoo!
A formerly married couple who broke up but are really secretly still in love.
And she's just signed the divorce papers a couple hours earlier.
Awkward. Wind up doing what they do best, which is storm chasing. Now, for those of you who don't actually know what storm chasing is, pull your
head out from underneath that rock it's been under for the last 12 years.
Storm chasing is people that go out and actively look for tornadoes for scientific purposes.
Not just tornadoes. Most chasers chase all types of extreme weather, including hurricane, derechos, and other weird phenomena. But it is mostly tornadoes.
In their case, in the Harding's case, it's for scientific purposes. Other people do this for thrills.
Some people sell tours.
I am of the opinion
and some of them do all three.
I am of the opinion that all these people do this because they have a death wish. Anyway.
That's four. And every one of those describes Reed Timmer.
At the end of the film...
Look it up. It's Wikipedia.
Bill and Joe wind up staring down the path of the biggest honkin' tornado I have ever seen in my life. Now, they managed to make it to a barn before the tornado hits. They tie themselves...
No, they didn't stay in the barn because of all the sharp implements.
The sharp implements.
They ended up in a well cottage.
Right. A pump house.
Yeah.
And they take like leather strap, their belts and stuff like that, and they tie them around the pump plumbing.
Because it goes way down into the ground.
Right. Tornado hits, mayhem, destruction, stuff flying everywhere. The tornado is literally on top of them. Mm-hmm. They are raised up in the air.
Upside down,
kind of. And they're being held in place by the leather straps. And the tornado passes, and they come down, and they're okay. They're unhurt. and they're going to try and give their marriage one more try, and so on and so forth. In the end,
they're unhurt.
Yes. See,
not even a hair's out of place.
All right, let's talk about why this is a what the F moment. Let's talk about why this is a
I can't believe I didn't think of this. I should have. Okay.
This is also a oh come on moment. These people are unhurt when they should be cut to ribbons
and shredded. All the clothes should have been shredded.
They should be naked.
They technically should have suffocated.
Yeah, they should be naked because their clothes should be gone. They should have bloody stumps at the end of their ankles because their feet probably would have been ripped out of their shoes, along with their shoes, and get sucked up into the tornado. Bull crap, bull crap, bull crap, bull crap, bull friggin' crap. And
poetic license.
And I sat there and I was like, what the... You people think we're stupid, don't you? So
it made for a great ending, though.
My number 6, 1996, Twister.
Just as a caveat, I'm a big weather person. I grew up in the Midwest, and I've always been interested in the phenomenon, and it probably had something to do with my obsession with disaster movies in later days. Even I think that is the biggest pile of crap ever. I mean, there's no way that could have happened.
No.
The stuff that happens in a similar fashion in Into the Storm was a lot more realistic. So, I mean, it really was. My number 5 is an interesting choice because it's not really... Well, it is a connected part of the story, but it's a little bit out there. And it's disjointed from what's been going on because of what's going on. I know, she's rolling her eyes. It comes from my 2015 Best Picture of the Year, the marvelous Hitchcockian thriller Tom at the Farm from director Xavier Dolan.
There were a lot of what the F moments in that movie. Like, what the F do you mean that's the effing end of the movie?
I like that film. I like the end. I loved that movie. Part of the whole story is Tom has come from the city to the country to attend the funeral of his lover, Guillaume. And he ends up at the farm of Guillaume's family when they're not sure, they don't know if he's coming or not. His mother, Elise, and his brother, Francis, live there. Francis is a bit of a nutball. And it turns out, as we find out throughout the course of the film, the reason why Francis is playing this Stockholm Syndrome game with Tom is because Francis was in love with his own brother. Tom calls a friend from work to come down and pretend to be Guillaume's girlfriend because Francis's mother didn't realize he was gay. And after she comes and she tries to talk Tom into leaving, and he's, by this point, wants to stay. He's completely Stockholm Syndromed by Francis. They all go out and get drunk together, and Francis and the girl want to make out. So Tom walks into a bar and sits down and has a drink. And the whole town hates Francis for some reason. And Tom finds out during this bar trip from the bartender exactly why. And as the story goes on and on and on about, the bartender tells Tom about how when he was 16, some boy came into the pub with Guillaume, and he went into a jealous rage and beat this kid senseless in front of all the patrons and ripped his jaw practically out of his mouth. Now Tom's sitting there and his eyes are getting wider and wider and wider, and he's finally realizing, I have to get out. I have to get away from here. It's just one of those eye-opening, eye-popping, like, what? Excuse me? At the very end of the film, when Tom has left and he's on his way back to Montreal, he stops for gas, and we see a figure in the back room of the gas station. And although it's never admitted, it's implied that this is the person Francis beat up years ago. Mm-hmm. That movie is phenomenally good.
So what's the WTF moment for you?
Just the whole story, the whole revelation, and listening to why because it's just so detailed and so horrifying that you're like, holy cow. But like you said, there are a number of WTF moments in this movie. Hitchcock would have been very proud of Xavier Dolan's film. I think he's wonderful as Tom. He's a wonderful writer and director. He didn't write this, unfortunately. He wrote the screenplay based on a stage play, and it was phenomenally good. If you've never seen it, seek it out. Number 5, the story at the bar at Tom at the Farm.
Okay. My next film, now, I've been kind of having fun with this so far. I mean, I did get angry a few times when it was, necessary and stuff like that. But, it was stuff eventually I could kind of just shrug off or, drown with cookies or something. But this was not that. My number 5 film is a documentary from 2011.
Oh, okay.
It's called Project NIM.
Wow. Okay.
Project NIM is a documentary which is focusing on...
That's the third film from the 2010 IFFB we've had in this group tonight. Yeah,
it's focusing on a project from the 1970s called Project NIM, which was a project where it was a scientific project where they were trying to find out if a primate that was raised with humans as a human child would be able to develop like a human, learning sign language. And so they took this chimp, this baby chimp that they named Nim Chimpsky. And
it's a play on Noam Chomsky, if you don't know that.
And they gave this chimp to a family to raise as a child. And when Nim was small and easily manageable and, this cute little baby, everything was great, and it seemed like it was progressing pretty well. And then after a while, they basically came to the conclusion that the whole thing really wasn't working. And they took all these chimps and basically...
Oh, these chimps. It was one chimp.
Well, there was Nim, and there were other chimps that were also used in other projects. Remember?
But it was not necessarily the same thing.
No, but they took Nim, and they took him away from the family that had been raising him, and put him in a experimental lab with other chimps that had been raised as chimps. Let me try and explain what this would be like for you guys out there. You are a person. You have been raised by a loving family from what you can remember from the time you were a baby. When you are a teenager, all of a sudden they decide, nope, this isn't working. And you're dropped into a rat pit. And expected to live like that. What was done to this animal and to other animals had me literally choking with rage in the movie theater. I might have made a fool of myself.
You didn't make a fool of yourself, and you weren't the only one doing it.
I don't care. I was weeping. I was completely... I don't...
Kim is a very messy crier.
No, I am not a pretty crier. I am not.
I have only seen her get really, really bad 4 times. Once was the first time we saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the second end of it. Second, every successive time we saw Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and Boromir died. The middle of March of the Penguins, when she scared a poor little girl sitting near us. Her wails were so loud about the baby penguin that died. And this movie, she was completely out of control.
Yeah.
I was terrified she was going to hyperventilate.
I've always heard, I mean, there's certain things you hear growing up all your life, and you just think that they're just words. They're just statements. They're just, whatever. You don't really think that they actually happen. I'm here to testify to y'all that the phrase seeing red is very real.
Yep.
That really does happen. I have
I have said, if I ever meet Herb Terrace in person, I'm going to punch him in the nose.
I don't think...
That's the man who came up with this project.
I don't think I have ever in my life felt such overwhelming hatred and rage over the torture of these beautiful animals. And I was just sitting there going, what the F? Why didn't somebody stop this? This is insane, and it just literally, I mean...
Eventually they did, but it took a while. Them only lived half of what a chimp normally lives. He died at 35, and they normally lived about 70.
Because of the stress of what he'd been through.
Yep.
So my number 5 from 2011, Project Nim. It is a difficult movie to watch, but whenever you feel like human beings have the right to do whatever we want,
no, we don't.
Because we walk upright and have opposable thumbs, think of this movie and ask yourself why we think we're the most evolved things on this planet. Because I don't think we are.
This is another one of those films that if you've never seen it, you should seek it out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, I gotta compete with that. My number 4 is one of my all-time favorite films, and I'm the first time I saw it, we saw it at the theater, and I was just like mesmerized by the different ways that it worked. It was my first exposure to the genius of Chinese director Zhang Yimou, and I have been a huge fan of his ever since. And I've gone back and seen some of his earlier stuff. He's just an amazing visionary director. Mm-hmm. Hero is just an amazing film. It puts together some of the most amazing cast ever. Jet Li, Maggie Cheung, Zhang Ziyi, Tony Leung, and Chow Dao-min as the king. And each one, as you go through it, it tells the same... It's a Rashomon style story where it tells the same story from different perspectives. And the whole premise is Nameless, the warrior played by Jet Li, has been invited to visit the king, the emperor, the would-be emperor, because he has slain the assassins that were out to kill him. Mm-hmm. Long Sky, Broken Sword, and what was her name?
Flying Snow.
Flying Snow. In actuality, his story starts to fall apart halfway through, and the king sees through it. After the king and he have this rapport, he makes this attempt, but he doesn't kill the king, even though he had been begged to by these 3 assassins. They'd set this up very elaborately. He has come to understand why the king is doing what he's doing. He's going through trying to unite all the different provinces and turn them into a united China. And I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean you're not going to kill him? And then he's like, he knows from that point on that the king will have no choice but to execute him. He walks outside. The king rallies his troops. He doesn't want to do it. And now after they've been seen inside each other.
He knows that Nameless is an honorable man.
Yes. And at the end, they all let these arrows fly, and 10,000 arrows come shooting toward Nameless. And the next scene is they're carrying him out, covered on a sword, on a shield, and saying how he died a hero, an honorable man. I'm sitting there weeping. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to kill this guy? I was so trying to keep it together because Stacy was with us, and I'm like, I
don't. Why should you?
Because I'm a guy. Okay. I'm that movie just I always get choked up at the end.
Oh yeah.
I love that film. It is one of the most visually breathtaking things I've ever seen, and that shot where you see these arrows coming and you know what's happening. And it just breaks your heart.
See, yeah, and the thing about that scene that really kills you is earlier on in the film, you saw him face even more arrows, and he was just batting them away with his sword.
But remember, that was only one version of what happened.
That's true. That is true.
If you've never seen Hero, I cannot explain what a incredible film it is, and the ending will kill you, and it's beautiful. My number 4, Hero, the very end.
Okay. My number 4 is another example of being angry. It's a WTF moment of being angry. It is not the blinding anger that was involved with Project
Nothing's
M.
ever going to be that angry for you. I honestly think, I don't think you're ever going to top the rage you had that night.
No, I don't think so either. That was like Super Saiyan level. That was like insane. But this was close. My number 4 is 2011's The Future. I have brought this film up recently on my show, Platinum Rose's Garden.
I deliberately didn't put this on my list because I didn't want to antagonize you, and I should have known you would come up with it.
Because there was an episode of Supernatural this season called The Future, and I just felt like I had to go into a rant because what the hell is my show? And I went into this rant about how I panicked when I first heard the name of the episode because I had flashbacks to this incredibly shitty movie. And
family show. Sorry. Watch the mouth.
I hate this movie.
We both hate this film.
Hate it. And the reason I hate it is the biggest WTF moment in it. Now
it's the biggest damn swerve. It's a swerve as big as nuts.
The whole point of the film, The Future, is that this couple is going to...
incredibly insipid, really annoying couple.
Self-involved a-holes. I censored myself.
You did.
Sophie and Jason decide they're going to adopt a cat. Now, the cat they're going to adopt is ill. It has some medical issues, and they can't adopt him right away.
The cat's name is Pawpaw.
Yes. Most of the film is narrated from Pawpaw's point of view, although how Pawpaw can see what other people are doing, you know.
And we never really see the cat, we just see the paws.
We see these two little paws.
Doing the massage thing on the ground.
And I have to admit, Miranda July does the voice, and Pawpaw's voice is very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Until we get to the point where these lines happen. And then it happened. I died. What happens is Sophie and Jason get so caught up in their lives and what they're doing, and the fact that Sophie is a narcissistic bitch, that they miss the 30-day deadline
to pick it up when it was ill.
Awful choice of words, but there it is.
Yeah.
And Pawpaw is euthanized. Now, it took for anybody out there who has ever said, Kim, you have no self-control, I say to you...
I needed Wonder Woman's magic lasso that night, because Miranda July was in the front row of the theater that night.
I say to you, ha! Ha! I say, I ha in your general direction, because I had enough self-control to not stand up and go, F you, movie, and walk the F out.
Yeah, you did. I'll give you that. But we were both... I take full blame for that movie.
You damn well ought to.
I wanted to go see it because it had been a huge hit at Sundance, and I'd heard good things about Miranda July from people in Clotritus who we have learned not to listen to anymore from this movie.
No
and oh my God, I had to hear about it for a week afterward. I swear. And I agreed with you too.
And I was like, what the F?
Pretentious pile of crap? Yes.
I was like, what the F, you son of a... You mother...
And the sad thing is, I liked Hamish Linklater's character. He was a sweet guy. What he saw in Miranda July's character, I will never figure out, ever.
You effing C word, you can go, blah, 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 and it just got progressively fouler from there.
Yeah, and I had to steer her away from Miranda July. We went outside, and she was standing there talking to our friends Michael and Scott from Clotritus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's go this way.
Yeah, he's got a very nice but very firm arm lock on me.
We don't want to talk to her. We will tell her how horrible her movie is.
We will tell her movie sucked and she should be ashamed of herself. So Kim is going over here now. So my number 4, Pawpaw's death in the future. F you movie.
And apologies to Ms. July if she's listening to this show, but we really did not like your film.
We hated your movie. So effing there.
My number 3 is one of those movies that... This is one of those films that I was like, we should see this because it's been recommended to us by a friend. It's a small little film. It did well at Tribeca, but it sat on the shelf for 2 years, and we don't know if it's any good or not. So I was like, okay, we'll go see it. Now, if you haven't seen it, and you probably haven't, you probably heard us talk ad nauseum about it because we both loved the film. It was the film that made us both enormous fans of the late Anton Yelchin. It's called Fierce People. Mm-hmm. And
ooh, that's a great choice.
This is a great movie. Anton plays Finn, a 16-year-old kid who gets busted buying his coked-out mother her drugs. She calls up an old friend, and they move to this self-contained city-state in New Jersey, owned by this rich friend played by Donald Sutherland. He gets involved with the Sutherland's character's grandchildren, played by Kristen Stewart and Chris Evans. They are all friends. They hang out. They do pot together. They do a whole bunch of stuff. It's a very funny comedy all the way through the first 2/3 of the film. And you know, they're starting to fit in everything, and they've made friends and everything, and suddenly Finn's walking home from back home to his cottage from visiting Kristen Stewart's character, and suddenly, out of the blue, you don't see it coming, he's grabbed from behind by somebody who throws a burlap bag over his head and rapes him. Now, here's a 15-year-old kid. This movie
beats him and rapes
him. This has been a comedy up to this point.
Yeah.
From that point on, the movie becomes a sort of mystery as to who did this and why. I can't ever say enough that the loss of Anton last year in a freak car accident at 27 has robbed the film world of one of its greatest performers in history. He could play any part. And he's been doing this since he was a child. I think he made his debut at something like 8, and continued to just get better and better. And Fierce People was the first thing we were exposed to, and we became enormous fans of his from his marvelous. And really, if it had been a year when the critics had looked at it really closely, a possible Oscar performance from him. It was marvelous. Everything about this movie, I mean, that movie, it's directed by Griffin Dunn, who gets so much good word of mouth for most of the stuff he directs, but this one kind of threw people because it suddenly goes from a happy-go-lucky comedy to this suspense thriller at the end of the film. But it's something, if you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing. And I have always been, I have loved Diane Lane since her very first movie, A Little Romance, in 1980, when she was 12 or 13 years old. I continue to see practically everything she does. She's terrific in the DC universe as Martha Kent. She was great in Secretariat, which should have earned her an Oscar nomination. And here, this movie completely cemented me as a big fan of hers. And I'd love to see her and Donald Sutherland do something together again, because the chemistry was awesome. Without a question, though, this movie will shock the crap out of you. We're sitting there watching it at the Kendall Theater, and we're like, what just happened? Oh my God. What is going on? What? All right, this isn't a comedy anymore, is it? Okay. Because it was drop dead funny up to that point. My number 3, Fierce People, and the marvelous performance of Anton Yelchin as he deals with being raped and beaten by an unknown assailant, which turns out to be, I'll let you go see it. You should see it.
Yeah.
I know, I'm a C-teaser, I'm sorry.
My number 3 was, I think this was one of the only times I ever actually yelped in a movie, because what happened was so like, what the... It was literally one of the moments where it was like, you could
hear a pin drop except for her, and then you heard her.
Well, what happened on screen was so loud, and it happened at the same time that I yelped. It was like, I almost jumped backwards off my chair. I was like, what the, My number 3 from 2010, the woefully underseen by most of the public drama Animal Kingdom, which ironically has found a new life on TNT as a series.
With an adapted cast is set in California.
Yeah. Animal Kingdom tells the story of Joshua Cody, who usually goes by Jay. He is a 17-year-old in Australia who winds up going to live with his family, the part of his family that he hasn't seen for many years, because his mother winds up dying from a drug overdose. So he goes to her family, which includes Grandma Janine, who goes by Smurf, and her sons, Andrew Cody, who goes by Pope, and Darren and Craig, middle brother Craig and younger brother Darren. And they have a friend of theirs named Baz. Barry, his real name is Barry Brown, but he goes by Baz.
I thought Darren was a cousin, but I might be wrong. Another cousin, but that might be me. Anyway.
No.
It's been a while. You've seen it more than I have, so.
The Cody family and Baz are criminals. They're involved in all kinds of illegal activity, and the police know it. They just haven't been able to catch them at it, and it pisses the police off. At a shopping center, Baz has a meeting with Pope in Baz's car, and they're talking about actually quitting, criminal activities and actually living, straight and narrow lives.
Well, actually, the meeting wasn't in the car; it was in the store.
Oh, that's right. And then they have the meeting, go their separate ways. Baz goes and gets in his car. As he gets in the car, and the police approach him and start kind of talking to him, but they're not talking, and it sounds friendly, but it's not. And the tension level is ratcheting up, and something horrible is going to happen. Baz makes a motion, not a motion like threatening or anything like that, just like moves his body slightly. All of a sudden, one of the cops screamed, "He's got a gun!" Bam! Shoots him dead in the shopping center parking lot. And I was like, holy shit!
Language?
Sorry. I screamed. I yelped. I was like, what did they just execute that?
Yes, they did. He didn't have a gun. The cop knew he didn't have a gun.
Yeah.
Cop played by Guy, what's his name?
No, Guy Ritchie's the good cop.
He was the one that said he's got a gun.
I know.
Yeah. Trust me.
Okay, anyway. This leads to an incredibly violent chain of events and a lot of bad stuff happening. But seriously, it was one of those moments where I was like, what the hell just happened? My heart was just pounding in my chest. It scared me so much. Great, amazingly shot, because something bad's going to happen, but holy crap, you don't think it's that. My number 3, Animal Kingdom, the murder by police of Barry Brown.
Check that while we're talking, see if it says in Wikipedia, and it's Guy Pearce, not Guy Ritchie. I was thinking
Guy Pearce, yeah.
Yeah.
It says, it doesn't say that there was him that did that.
I'm pretty sure it was, though. That's what I remember. Because that's why I didn't like the cop the rest of the movie. Because he was a scumbag. It was just as bad as them.
He was the only one that was nice.
But he wasn't.
Well,
he was doing everything outside the law to get them.
Okay.
You have to see the film to understand. My number 2 is a documentary. And it's basically the entire film. Because it's like, you start to watch this film. And I admit, I'm a guy. Okay? So I go in for World War II stuff. I don't know why it is. I don't like war movies, but I like documentaries about World War II. And this one was really something. 2014's The Decent One is a film that chronicles correspondence letters between SS head Heinrich Himmler and his wife. The narration of the letters is set to horrific footage from all the stuff that happened during World War II in Nazi Germany. And you are listening to these letters. And his wife, in particular. He's writing these letters, and she's writing them back, and they're completely conversational, like they were talking about how to arrange their furniture. No, they're not talking about how to arrange their furniture. They're talking about how to kill millions of Jews. How they are scum and how they need to go. And, oh, my darling, you must do your job well or we'll be ever plagued by them. And I'm sitting here looking at this, and I thought A Film Unfinished which is another great documentary from 2011 about Nazi Germany and in this case, Warsaw, Poland ghetto, and what they did there. I was infuriated and sickened by The Decent One. It made my year-end list as my Baker's Dozen, and it is bone-chilling when you see how casual these conversations are. It's like writing your husband with the news of your pet's antics, or telling your wife you went to the bar with the boys after target practice or whatever. And that's the kind of conversational tone.
Right.
These letters, and these two people loved each other, and you could tell they loved each other in these documents. But man, The Decent One comes from how these letters are written and how it makes them seem perfectly normal when everything they were doing was anything but.
Well, see, that's the thing. I've brought this up before. Nobody gets up in the morning and thinks, well, I'm going to be evil
right, but
today.
I'm just saying that it was just amazing. The kind of thoughts that went through these. I mean, I was like, holy crapes, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Look, I mean, nobody wakes up and thinks, today I'm going to be a raging psycho, agent of genocide.
Right.
Nobody thinks they're doing something wrong.
Right.
You couldn't live with yourself. It's amazing what the mind will do so people can justify what they do, no matter what it is.
My number 2 is the entire film, The Decent One. It's a documentary from 2014. You really should seek it out. It, too, is currently available easily. I believe it's on Netflix. And definitely check it out.
Okay. My number 2 and my number 1 are actually stuff that everybody knows, but you have to... What I'm going by is when you see these films for the first time.
Yeah.
When it's completely virgin snow, and you're the first person running across it in your little red snowsuit. My number 2 is... one of my favorite films. I've brought this up over and over again, how it is one of my favorite films, which strangely enough my mother had no problem with me watching. I don't know why, considering I wasn't allowed to watch other films by this director. My number 2 is 1960s Psycho. I can't even tell you the number of times I've seen this movie.
You've even seen it in the theater now.
Yeah, I have. And it's still creepy. I still get chill bumps. The point in the film I really didn't know very much about the film before I saw it for the first time, which had to be when I was a teenager, I would say. And we're at the point in the film, we're almost at the end, where all of the crazy stuff has happened. We've had the shower scene, we've had everything else. And we have Vera Miles as Lila Crane going into the fruit cellar of the Bates home, which is behind the Bates Motel, because she's looking to talk to Mrs. Bates, Norman Bates' mother. And she sees this figure sitting in a rocking chair. She calls out to the woman as she's coming toward her. She doesn't respond or anything like that. She very lightly touches the woman on the shoulder, and the figure turns from the pulling motion that she makes when she touches it, and we get a close-up of Mrs. Bates, who is a corpse. Mm-hmm. Norman Bates killed his mother, stole her body, and kept it in his home to perpetuate the illusion that she was alive. This is one of those scenes where you're just like, it's
been done over and over again since then, too.
It's so shocking the first time you see it, though. I would have loved to have been in a theater. If I could build a time machine and go back in time, there are 2 moments I would love to see from the audience, from watching the audience. This moment and the moment in Jaws when the shark first rises up by the boat when Brody's chumming the water.
Right.
I would love to see what the audience reaction to those scenes was. Mm-hmm. The first time I saw that scene with Mrs. Bates, I was so scared and I couldn't scream. I just kind of made this kind of meep noise that, just, it just, nothing would come out. Because, of course, the scene just barrels forward from there, and we see Anthony Perkins in drag, and it just goes completely, we are just headed straight into the heart of Crazy Town by this point. So my number 2 from 1960, one of Alfred Hitchcock's best films, in my opinion, his best film, Psycho, the real Mrs. Bates.
Mm-hmm. My number 1 is a movie that I love dearly, but I have the same kind of problem with the end of this film that Kim has with Twister. The movie is great up until the final 10 minutes, and then it's like, what the no way, I don't think so. I am not buying this for a minute. Kim disagrees with me, but I'm sorry. It falls apart completely in the final 10 minutes, and the sad thing is, it's a really great film up until that point. My number 1 WTF moment is the entire ending of the 2014 film Now You See Me. I love Now You See Me. It's got one of the best casts on the planet. Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Isla Fisher, Dave Franco, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Mark Ruffalo, all these great people. And the story is, of course, if you've not seen it, then I'm surprised because most people have. Street musicians are pulled together, magicians are pulled together to form a group called the Four Horsemen. And they keep getting into this plot line where they're pulling off these crimes that are actually supposedly making up for something that happened before, although they're not entirely sure what it is as they go through it until they get to each particular part of it. They're being chased by this cop named Dylan Rhodes. He's an FBI agent. And also pursued by this magician who's exposing secrets about magic, played by Morgan Freeman. Partway through the film, we think one of them's dead, and the other 3 go on to do this other stuff. And no, it turns out that not only did, what was his name? Dave Franco's character. He survived the accident. The accident was staged. And the person who's been coercing them through this to try and get into this elite magic organization called the Eye, we don't see who it is. We know that this person's been setting this whole thing up to take down Morgan Freeman's character. And it turns out that the guy that's setting all this up is the same guy that's trying to stop them, the FBI agent named Dylan Rhodes, played by Mark Ruffalo, who happens to be the son of a magician who died doing a trick 30-some years ago, and he still blames Morgan Freeman's character for doing that because he exposed, said that he was a charlatan and all this other stuff. And I'm like, no, sorry, not buying this one for 1 minute. Now, of course, they kind of tried to explain the rest of that in the sequel, which came out last year. And it's like, okay, I'm not sure I buy this either, but it's still they're both fun movies. The first one's better, but be prepared for real suspension of disbelief in the final 10 minutes of Now You See Me. My number 1 WTF moment.
Okay.
I know you don't agree with that, but
I thought it was great. I was like, wow, did not see that coming.
Right, it's total WTF.
My number 1 WTF moment is, it's kind of funny because it is one of these moments where you were just really like, you felt like a bomb just went off in your chest. It was just one of these moments where it's like, no. You're reacting along with the characters on screen, which really is very cool when you get that pulled into a universe that you're not doing it on purpose. Your actions and your attitude mirror what's going on with the character on screen.
And this might have actually worked if I hadn't seen it coming 10 minutes before it happened. That's what I think it is. We'll see.
My number 1 is from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, no, it's a different one. Okay.
From 1980.
All right. I was right franchise, though.
The climactic fight between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader on Cloud City, where Luke is trying to rescue his friends because he's got a vision that they are in danger, and that's already happened. Hans and Carbonite, Leia's fleed with Lando by now, but they had this big climactic battle between Vader and Luke, which winds up costing Luke his hand at one point. And Vader asks him, did Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, did he? Luke's answer is, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. What follows after that is one of the biggest WTF moments ever. And it's also one of the most misquoted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vader's response to Luke's accusation, and I'm sorry my voice isn't deep enough. No, I am your father.
Not quite that cadence either, but close.
Well,
not that I give a pause, but anyway.
Well, I didn't want to make it too long.
I know.
Acting.
This show is already going way too long. It's one of the longest ones we've done.
The look of absolute naked shock on Luke's face, which morphs into just complete horror, where he's saying, no, that's not true. It's not, that's impossible. It's just, there is so much base, raw panic on his face and in his voice. And that echoes through the audience, and you pick up and you catch it almost like a disease. I was like, no. This is a lie. This is a trick. This isn't real.
No, it's real.
Son of a bitch. So my number one, no, I am your father.
Okay.
From Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
I thought sure it was going to be the moment when Kylo Ren killed his father, Han Solo, in Force Awakens.
No.
Okay. My top 10 WTF moments from movies look like this. Number 10, the end courtroom scenes from Nuts. Number 9, the death of Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 8, Bastion and the Child Empress from the Neverending Story. Number 7, revelation that Thomas has rabies in Troll Hunter. Number 6, the opening of Wall-E. Number 5, the bar story in Tom at the Farm. Number 4, the ending of Hero. Number 3, the attack on Finn in Fierce People. Number 2, the entire film, the 2014 documentary, The Decent One. And number 1, the ridiculously convoluted and entirely implausible ending of Now You See Me.
Okay. My top WTF moments from 10 to 1. There are 2 moments from number 10 from Shin Godzilla. That is Godzilla. And no movie you can't end here. No, you can't. But you did. My number 9, 13 Assassins.
Flaming cows!
Flaming cattle stampede. I bet you those are 3 words you never thought you'd hear in the same sentence. Number 8, Batman Begins. Wait, he's Ra's al Ghul?
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, Chinatown. What do you mean that's the end of the movie? Number 6, Twister. I refer to it as the barn scene, but
yeah, it's the pump house scene. Yeah.
Number 5, Project Nim, The Fate of Nim and the Other Chimps. Number 4, The Future. And then it happened. I died. Number 3, Animal Kingdom, The Murder by Police of Barry Brown. Number 2, Psycho, The Real Mrs. Bates. And number 1, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. No, I am your father.
So that's pretty good. It took us a while to get it together.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be gone this long this time, because this will be a lot easier list for me.
Yay.
Should be an easier list for you. My turn to pick. And we've actually talked about this one before.
Okay.
We haven't done it yet, and so I've been waiting anxiously to do it, and we're going to do it.
All right.
Next week on Front Row 5 and 10, the 10 worst hit songs I absolutely loathe. These are the songs that I would take every copy I could get my hands on and throw them into the freaking sun to get rid of them.
Okay.
That's how much I hate these songs.
All right. Do they have to have been hits?
They should be known top 40 or top 100 hits.
Okay.
You can't, no deep album tracks because nobody's going to know them.
No, that's fine. That's fair.
I think we've talked about this. This is something we've had lengthy discussions about.
Yep. And
she already knows what my number one is going to be.
I have a good feeling.
I have an instant freak out attack whenever I see it. So
yeah, you do.
It's well. Anyway, no more help there. We hope you'll come and listen to us every week on Front Row 5 and 10, available on the Subject Cinema web feed, and it's up every Thursday from now on. We'll hopefully be back to the regular schedule. We have other shows out there. Platinum Rose's Garden.
Yes.
Every Saturday about Supernatural from Kim.
My show, Supernatural, is a Supernatural podcast. As TC mentioned, I do an episode recap of the past week's episode of Supernatural over on Platinum Rose's Garden. We're almost to the end of the season.
Yep, she's only got 3 more shows to do, and then maybe this summer she'll do something special.
Yeah, but you can check me out right now over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com. I hope you come and take a listen. I like to think it's a pretty fun show.
And not safe for work.
And it is not safe for work because it is not a family show, so I get to swear like a trucker. Hooray!
My show is Catastrophe, Vortex, all about disaster movies. It's been off and on for the last few weeks. We'll be back regularly next week, starting on Wednesdays, with all the cool disaster movies of all time. There's also Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon. They're on a hiatus, but you can catch all their older shows at cavebabble.com. Our weekly roundup shows of new stuff coming out. Tuesday Digidex on Tuesdays covers DVD, Blu-ray, and on-demand releases. And 3 Minute Weekend on Fridays covers all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each week. We will also have a brand new show coming to our lovely family. PNRNetworks is happy to welcome the Comic Grotto with Aunt Bee and Pee-wee. It's coming in the near future, as is another spinoff of Subject Cinema, which we've talked about before, Real Rewind. We hope to have it on by the end of the summer. And of course, Subject Cinema every Sunday evening with all the latest. Now, Marvelous May is going on. We're doing a couple of redos. And this coming week, we're going to do Movies in Your Backyard Revisited. Mm-hmm. Next week, it's our 2-part Boston Springs Festival 2017. And then, Memorial Day weekend, be prepared to take a trip out into the countryside, as all summer long, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, Subject Cinema morphs into Subject Cinema's Drive-In Summer. Everything drive-in. We'll talk about drive-ins themselves, movies that played the drive-in, and all kinds of hot summer fun, and that'll all be on Subject Cinema.
Yep.
Anything else going on?
I think that'll about do it.
Alrighty. Don't forget to donate to our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/PNRNetworks. We're trying to do some stuff, and we really need the help, so please, $2 a month is all we're asking, although you can go up to $100. But there's all kinds of perks involved. And somebody's got to give us some love sometime, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. And we're also now on Medium.com. If you haven't checked us out, go over and search eCinemaOne or eCinemaBoston on Medium.com and subscribe over there, please, and pass them on to your friends. The site is a merge of the two sites with all the posts we put up on both those sites every week. So we hope you'll check it out at Medium.com.
We definitely do.
And on that note, we'll head on out of here.
I'm Kim Brown.
I'm TC Kirkham.
And we hope we can count on you to come back next week and help us count up our lists on Front Row 5 and 10.
Ta-ta!
Bye!
You've been listening to Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.